So hi guys, we're back again, and as we said that we're now going to diverge further into emotional violence, and as said, it's one of those things that we go through, and a lot of people go through it, but I don't think at that point we actually realize we're going through it. And most of us, because as Nyajumbe had said, we're going into relationships without really knowing what we're doing, and it's not just in relationships, it's also in families.
Emotional violence, I think it's even, okay, first off, to start off with it, I think it's worse than physical violence to some extent, obviously. But emotional violence either makes you or breaks you. And there have been tales where it makes you, and there are many tales where it breaks you. And I think it's really hard to deal with because emotional violence cannot be quantified the way physical violence can be.
Yeah.
And it's really abstract and it's really subjective. So that way, no other person can really know what someone is going through emotionally. But when it's physical, they can try to gauge it. And they also use these arbitrary scales to do physical pain and violence. But emotional violence, like, it really messes, and it really drives people to a corner, and you get a lot of complications. So you get depression being one, you get anxiety, just like even if you're in a relationship where there's both emotional and physical violence. Emotional violence will actually trigger sometimes physical violence, or will actually trigger someone to be suppressed or either violent, and then try to resist and attempt to resist, or they're always on edge. So they're always scared, or they're always ready to go on flight or fright mode. And then, yeah, so there's always that, and there's always the bad ultimatum of suicide, where many people think it's the pain for emotional violence is that much that the only escape is probably leaving this world, yeah. And then also it sometimes makes you, and yeah, I'm just saying that this is an occasional story where someone can actually be, this is what happened to me, or this is what I experienced. And emotional violence, I don't think it applies only to someone who's directly getting involved with.
Yeah.
It can even be indirectly, like children to people who have parents who are constantly fighting.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't want to end up like that, and they also see the scare that they get from, and the pain that they get from it, but from experiencing that. So they always, in future they'll change, and they'll always remember what they went through is probably what they don't want other people to experience, yeah. And they also try to get away from it, and they also try to improve other people's lives. Like, hey, we're doing this, and many of us have various backgrounds, and we're doing it because maybe we're affected by that, and we don't want other people to have the same. So yeah, I think that's how it goes.
Yeah. So I think before, like, how would you define emotions, if you had to define emotions?
Myself?
Yes.
Emotions. I'd say what we feel, and it's directed by what we go through.
Yeah. So personally, when you're looking at it from that angle, it means like emotions, they don't come from nowhere, you see. These are actions or behaviors that, like, you've observed, and then you transform them into thoughts, then thoughts to emotions, you see. So I think if you want to talk about emotional violence, you need to, like, see, like, where does it start? Yeah. And personal emotional violence, I think, is someone, like, because human beings, I told you, like, the emotions are made of behaviors and maybe actions of people. You see it, you don't like it, it is an emotion. You see it, you like it, it is an emotion. You see, actions of people. So, and then these actions and behaviors, people have their weaknesses and their strengths. So when it comes to emotional violence, I always think, like, for couples or in relationships, these are some people, personally, I think it's people who've spent time they know each other well, they know this guy's weaknesses, they know this guy's strengths and things like those. So when it is an emotional strength is when they use your strengths, your strengths in your behavior to encourage you. It feels nice. But when it is violence is when maybe there is a breakup, then someone wants to hurt you through your weaknesses. So to me, like defining emotional violence, like basically it is somebody like misusing your weaknesses and there's nothing you can do about it. So it ends up being an emotion. So I think that's how we talk about emotional violence, like basically define it. Yeah.
And I think it's the small things that even if it's someone who's ashamed of a flaw of something or an attribute they have, and the other person actually using that against them. Yeah, so it can be something that maybe I lost a finger or something, and that man belittling the person, saying, oh, you're the one who doesn't have a finger, and you're the disabled one, you're this and that, you're the imperfected one, or you're the flawed one. So I think it's using someone's weaknesses, and it's the worst thing is because if you're in a relationship and you literally expose yourself and your soul and everything, and that person is using it, I think it's really hurtful, and that's how I think it really messes you up.
And it doesn't happen in relationships, and parents actually, one thing I got to realize that there are some instances where most went through it first at home, the emotional violence. And it's be like that person, I don't like it, you're stupid, you're a cow, and I don't know, there are very many people who've been called so many things, or why are you fat?
Yes.
You're always eating. So you find like that person will associate always eating with I look bad. So they'll tend to I won't eat a lot, or if I don't pass an exam, and when I go home and we call that ng'ombe and that cow, So I think most of us went through it at home. And once we have that background, I think now that's what makes it that's why we don't even notice it when we're in relationships or when we're adults. It's because we've gone through it, we've experienced it. So
at home, at school, at everything.
I've got at home, in school there's bullying because I have a big nose, or I am fat, or I am doing something else. In a relationship now, you're getting it. So it's become like a norm. It's okay to go through it.
Yes.
So where can we come in? Because it's a tricky thing. Clearly it's starting, and a lot of people have backgrounds, like our roots are so deep. And as he said, it might be even one of the worst, because it might make you hurt yourself. And I think the worst, I don't think life ends when you die. Life ends when your inner being dies. So you can, inner being dies.
True.
Yeah, when you don't have reason to.
If you don't have reason to.
You're already dead. It's just you're seeing someone. So what can we do at that point?
I think if I would start I would look at it from this point. There is the aspect of corrections. I always look at it in life. There are two aspects. How you interact with someone. You are either corrected or tortured. You see, corrections, it comes with, okay, this is a weakness, but you can do 1, 2, 3 to correct it. You see, but then torture is being told you have a big nose and it will be ugly for life. You see, there's nothing you can do about it. So I always think, like in relationships, be it parent, child, girlfriend, boyfriend, I think we should always look at our mistakes from the aspect of correction. And we should always take corrections positively, you see. Because if we look at it like, okay, my girlfriend is fat, and that is the only thing I want to ring in her head every time we are not okay. When we are okay, I don't talk about her being fat. But anytime we are not okay, I bring up her being fat. It's called torture, you see. But when even you are smiling and you are happy and you tell someone, hey baby, you are kind of gaining some weight, let's go to the gym, you see. At that point, you are in good emotions and you can talk. That's called correction. But when you're doing something out of anger, or out of bad motive, or out of like stress or depressions or things like those, it is not more of correction, it is more of torture. And the way people react to torture is differently. And that is why you're seeing people really doing crazy things when this relationship, or they develop into very crazy things. People like, a child grows into something you never expected. Our primary teacher told us, when you constantly call a child a dog, they grow up behaving like dogs. Because that's the behavior they grow, like, Mumbwa wewe, you are just a dog, you are just a prostitute, things like those. You know, the name you call that kid, like, in terms of correction, it's giving them ideas too. There are people who never know prostitutes until you are called a prostitute. Then you're like, who are prostitutes? Then you're like, okay, if life is hard, I can become a prostitute. So that is torture. So I think that is where we come in. We come in to like tell people, be corrected, but don't torture. Yeah, so that even if it is a relationship, you don't like it, how do you approach it? Yeah. Do you want to just hit a nail on the head for heaven's sake without minding about the emotions of this person? And that's why we always say, even breakups, don't just do it randomly, because you didn't get this person in an hour. You see, when you are trying to get your boyfriend or your girlfriend, it didn't happen in an hour or in a minute. So also when you're breaking things up, I think it is good to take some time. That's where the correction aspect comes in. Don't just use like methods like texting someone like it is over, things like that. Someone might be crossing a road. Someone might be crossing a road, someone might be driving, and the way they'll respond to that torture, it might be not okay. So I think that's where we come in. We tell them there's corrections, but then there's torture.
Yeah, so like Mark said, it's all about intent. Yeah. And if you have if you're calling someone something, you're either doing it to make people have the intention of making that person feel bad or improving themselves. Yes. And if it's something about like the way you used being called fat, the best way to approach that is not hurting that person, but by suggesting that this is the way, and I'm telling you this because I'm just looking out for you. So someone can be at least they can see that that reciprocation of care, and they can actually pick up on it.
Yes.
But if it's just belittling, then that's messed up. And I think it's just a way to deal with it, like you were asking earlier. It's a basic principle of like do what you would do to others, like just treat people the way you would like to be treated. Yeah, and it's that simple. And if you know that this is hurting someone, then either apologize there and there, or approach it in a think before you say such a thing, because you've been through it and you know how that person will feel or is actually feeling now.
And also, okay, there's this thing when we're correcting, I'm doing it out of love.
Yes.
And trust me, the thing that will come after, there is no love you're feeling there.
That's the same to, I'll just make a short statement. So you see, when people always start with the defensive statements, then they are not going to do it. They're like psychologically brainwashing you to believe it is going to be short. So it's the same way you're saying like, I'm just doing it out of love, then someone says something like, guy, is that love?
Yeah, there are those weird leading comments people make. But then whatever comes, But I think the way you should say things should be very obvious. The intention should be very obvious. You don't need to add such things.
Let action speak louder than words. You don't have to defend whatever you're going to tell someone for him to believe it is out of love. Say it, let them feel it.
Yeah, and I believe love, that's when love is actually a verb.
Yeah, it's another one.
It's a verb. No, like for you can tell me I love you, but I don't feel it.
Yeah.
But you can do something and not even tell me you love me, but I know you love me. Like, my father never told me I love you. But his actions, you can just tell. Hey, this guy. Hey,
true.
True. There's a hierarchy, I'm over there.
And I think we should just think about it like, we're not limited to words. Words is just one form of expression. There's other things you can do. And if you can't explain it in words, you can do something else.
Yeah, true. Because action speaks louder. Like for example, the way you're saying it, let's do it out of action. You see, the word love is just another word which a Chinese won't understand if you've never heard of it. You see, these words, they make sense to you when you attach actions and experiences and behaviors to them. You see, so these this thing called love, like saying I killed her because I loved her. They don't.
Yeah, just
They don't. Yeah. It's the same way we had an experience where they wanted to, what do we say? They wanted to lynch someone because he had stolen something. You see, like, okay, you've stolen, but now we are correcting you by lynching you. Like, how will that compensate?
Yeah.
Like, life and being a thief, there's
wrong
law. Yeah. So I think people should look at love in a broad aspect. It has so many things inside. It's not about just I love you, then everything is over.
Yeah, and I think that's the part where relationships right now have issues.
Yes.
Because we're just saying it.
Yeah, you're just saying it. You have nothing attached to it. You are sure if I say I love you, maybe I'll get a round of sex or something.
Yeah.
If I say I love you, I might get a date to somewhere. But you're not like looking at it, I love you, how can it make me and make this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to all this violence, the physical,
Yeah, yeah.
sexual, the emotional. The society has made it, and it's basically because a lot of women go through it. But what about the men? They sort of
Yeah.
There is.
There is.
And it's actually a really sensitive issue. Why? Because it's expected that men should be this way and that way, and they shouldn't. There's no way it will happen to them. But there are many cases, and what's actually sickening is many religious parties have sodomized boys, and they go out there and they preach that rape is bad and sexual intercourse before marriage is wrong, and they've been doing something which is, and then they also, many religious parties are like homophobic, yeah, and when you actually scrutinize the scenarios, they're doing the exact opposite and even worse, because it's better for two couples to probably be close to 18 and maybe having intercourse than a grown man defiling and molesting a child and a boy. And you know, it's messed up because for boys, it's harder to express and it's harder to deal with. Why I say that is because of all the, again, comes down to society norm. Many times a boy is defiled and they might see themselves as being, they might develop themselves as being insecure. They'll say that I was raised up to be this way and society views men this way, but this happened to me. Am I weak? Am I different from other people? Why did this person see me this way? And if a woman does it to them, it's rare, but it does happen. Probably an older person doing it. It's even messed up. They see it like, did I come off as this way? Or sometimes either your ego gets destroyed or your ego gets built. Sometimes boys go out with even older women, but yeah, so that way maybe the ego gets affected. But then I think it happens to boys, and it doesn't happen as frequently, and we don't have the like necessary fear of like when you go out there and we're walking on the road, this might happen, but it can happen. And because if there are people out there who do this to women, there are people who can do it to men.
True.
And there are people who can do it to babies and to boys and to so it does apply, and the way we should just treat it is if you can educate everyone, and if everyone can be raised up well not to do this to women and not to do this to other boys and men, then I think that way we can reach a balance.
On my side, I think I would say it is a two-way traffic, first point. Then second point, I think we need to update also our statistics. So starting with it's a two-way traffic. Newton's third law, so if we did physics, it's for every action there is. Yeah, so like when you see like the men are more portraying violence towards ladies, it means even them, like they're just, it might sound controversial, but yes, violence, if you're giving violence, it doesn't come from nothing. You see? So why I'm saying it is a two-way traffic is men mostly they don't talk. You see?
Yeah.
Men, they don't love. Yeah, they don't love sharing. Nini. But then also them, they go through it. You see?
Yeah.
They go through it, and some of them, the reason of like because they've gone through it, sometimes they also displace it to others. You know, counter transference. Yeah. When you are angry and sometimes you end up getting angry at someone. Or for men, we always use this example. If one man starts urinating, the other guy will also join. You see, it always happens. Or if you see someone drinking water, you also feel like drinking water. So I always feel like there is an aspect of men like they portray violence because they have gone through some violence, but they didn't talk about it. So it happens. It happens to the men too. Then statistics, I think this one is political. The government needs to update like the statistics on these gender violence things and things like those, because people are not using real number, people are using societal aspect.
Yeah.
They're saying, okay, my dad used to beat my mom and my grandmother used to beat my grandmother. But what about the modern society? What is going on? Like, you should now come back, apart from it used to happen and ladies used to experience it a lot. What about in the modern society where homosexuality, gay marriages, they're starting to be legalized? Because they're still men. So you find also men who are also in a relationship, they're two men and they're going through these types of violence. So it doesn't change. I think the society needs to update also their facts according to what is going on. Because viewing it is like viewing it as polygamy. It used to happen, but is it happening? But you know, there are people who still believe, okay, it is there. You see, but there's a metropolitan society that everything is changing. So I think the government needs to not only feed us with the old statistics, but also tell us, according to a research which was done in 2019, it is 1, 2, 3, so that we really understand these young people, because there is where the problem is. Yeah, they say a cock is seen when it is hatched, right? And a violent person, you see, if the society do not understand them, they grow up to be violent. They won't like divert. So I think when we identify them and like take note of what is going in the society and be updated with the facts, we might even find out men are going through it even more.
Yeah, and it brings a lot of problems. I don't know if you're familiar with this movie called, I think, The Altar Boys or something, where this group of kids get into juvenile and get sexually assaulted by the policeman. But when they come out, it was supposed to be a rehabilitation cycle for them, but when they come out, they're worse than they were before.
Yeah,
and they're worse because they're like, hell, if this was done to me, I'm gonna do it to others.
Yeah.
And this was like that kind of pain is again emotional, but it also stirs about the physical violence. And for men, it's they'll react in these ways. And men don't talk that easily.
Yeah.
So they either suppress it and these people go into suicide tendencies, and they also either branch out and they start inflicting it to others. If this was done to me, I'll do it to you. And I think there's always that. And we have to see it that way.
Yeah.
We have to see it in different dimensions, and we have to try to understand it.
Like we have to see it like, before you see the violence done, like you have what made. Yeah, we have to balance it. Like, let's see, before he portrays violence, did he receive violence? Before she portrays violence, did she receive violence?
Yeah,
so
we have to see two
yeah, we have to
sides of
see
the
it
story,
in both sides. We just don't need to focus on what has happened. Like, we have to focus on also what was the cause.
Obviously, we don't want to defend.
We're not
defending things like if a man beats someone else, either a woman or a man, and he's had this past experiences, we can't defend it because he himself should have known what is right and should have tried to. They have a choice, and they should have logically like thought it out, because I think they're the best people to even deal with such situations. If they know, if they've experienced it, why should they do it to others?
Why should they do it?
Yeah, and
So
we can't defend it, but it should be considered.
yeah, it should be looked at
Especially in those-
holistically, like yeah, from all angles.
And it should be dealt with early. Like it should be dealt early and it should be done properly. Professional people
Yeah.
on board tackling the situation before it heightens to such
True.
scale.